In a bold move that has captured global attention, the United States recently seized a Russian oil tanker in the North Atlantic. The operation, which unfolded under a veil of secrecy, marks a significant escalation in the ongoing diplomatic tensions between Washington and Moscow. As the tanker, laden with millions of barrels of crude oil, was intercepted by the U.S. Navy, questions about the legality and implications of such a seizure began to surface. This incident not only highlights the growing economic and geopolitical rivalry between the two nations, but also raises concerns about the freedom of maritime operations in international waters. The strategic timing and location of the operation suggest a calculated message from the U.S., showcasing its naval prowess and willingness to assert control over critical energy trade routes. This operation could potentially strain international relations further, impacting global oil markets and complicating diplomatic dialogues. This operation could potentially strain international relations further, impacting global oil markets and complicating diplomatic dialogues. The operation to seize the Russian oil tanker was meticulously planned and executed by the United States Navy in coordination with allied intelligence agencies. The tanker, named Fortuna, was suspected of violating international sanctions imposed due to Russia's recent geopolitical maneuvers. The U.S. military deployed a combination of naval vessels, including destroyers and surveillance aircraft, to locate and intercept the tanker as it transited international waters. The operation was conducted approximately 300 nautical miles off the coast of Greenland, a location chosen for its strategic distance from Russian military influence. This action underscores the U.S.'s commitment to enforcing international law and maintaining the integrity of maritime trade routes. The seizure has been described by officials as a necessary step to curtail unauthorized energy exports that could fund further destabilizing actions by Russia. The tanker Fortuna, a massive vessel capable of carrying over 2 million barrels of crude oil, was en route from a Russian port to an undisclosed Asian destination. Its interception is significant not just for the sheer volume of oil involved, but also because it represents a critical supply chain link for Russian energy exports. The tanker was registered under a shell company, a tactic often used to obscure the true ownership and destination of cargoes in violation of sanctions. This seizure highlights the complexities of enforcing international sanctions in the maritime domain, where vessels operate under various flags and ownership structures. The Fortuna is equipped with state-of-the-art navigation and communication systems designed to evade detection, making the successful interception a testament to the advanced capabilities of U.S. intelligence and naval operations. The United States Navy played a pivotal role in the operation, deploying advanced destroyers and aircraft to ensure the successful interception of the Fortuna. Utilizing cutting-edge radar and surveillance technology, the Navy was able to track the vessel's movements meticulously. The operation was spearheaded by the USS Arleigh Burke, a guided missile destroyer equipped with Aegis combat system, which provides both offensive and defensive capabilities. The Navy's involvement underscored the strategic importance of maintaining the security of maritime routes and enforcing international sanctions. The operation also served as a demonstration of U.S. naval superiority and its commitment to safeguarding global trade routes. By deploying such significant resources, the U.S. sent a clear message about its readiness to act against any entity attempting to bypass sanctions. The Russian government quickly condemned the seizure of the Fortuna, labeling it an act of piracy and a violation of international law. Moscow asserted that the tanker was operating legally and accused the United States of escalating tensions in an already volatile geopolitical landscape. Russian officials, including President Vladimir Putin, have demanded the immediate release of the vessel and its crew, warning of potential retaliatory measures if their demands are not met. The incident has further strained U.S.-Russia relations, already fraught due to ongoing conflicts in Ukraine and Syria, as well as allegations of election interference. Russia's response underscores the high stakes involved in the control of energy resources and the geopolitical influence they wield. This event could potentially trigger a series of diplomatic confrontations and economic sanctions, further complicating the already complex relationship between the two nations. The interception of the Fortuna is not an isolated event. It is rooted in a long history of maritime confrontations between the United States and Russia. During the Cold War, both nations frequently engaged in naval standoffs, with each side seeking to assert dominance over strategic maritime routes. The dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991 temporarily eased tensions, but recent years have seen a resurgence of naval rivalry. The annexation of Crimea by Russia in 2014 and its military activities in the Arctic have heightened the sense of urgency for the U.S. to protect its interests and those of its allies. The current incident is reminiscent of past confrontations, such as the Cuban Missile Crisis, where naval power played a crucial role in diplomatic negotiations. It reflects the enduring strategic importance of controlling sea lanes and access to energy resources in global geopolitics. Let's take a closer look at the timeline leading up to the interception of the Fortuna. The operation was set in motion after U.S. intelligence agencies detected irregularities in the tanker's route, raising suspicions of sanction violations. Surveillance efforts intensified in early October with the deployment of reconnaissance aircraft and naval assets. On November 2nd, intelligence confirmed the tanker's involvement in unauthorized oil shipments. The decision to intercept was made swiftly, with naval forces mobilized by November 5th. By November 10th, the Fortuna was located and monitored as it entered the strategic waters of the North Atlantic. The interception took place on November 14th, following a tense standoff that lasted several hours. This timeline illustrates the meticulous planning and rapid response capabilities of U.S. maritime forces in addressing potential threats to global security. The economic stakes in the seizure of the Fortuna are significant for both the United States and Russia. The tanker was carrying an estimated $150 million worth of crude oil, representing a substantial financial asset for Russia's energy sector. The interception disrupts the flow of Russian oil exports, which are a critical component of its national revenue. For the U.S., this operation underscores its commitment to enforcing international sanctions and curbing the flow of funds that could support destabilizing activities. The seizure also impacts global oil markets, potentially leading to fluctuations in oil prices due to perceived supply disruptions. This incident highlights the interconnectedness of global economies, where actions in the North Atlantic can ripple across financial markets worldwide, affecting prices at the pump and the cost of goods and services. The political motivations behind the U.S. decision to intercept the Fortuna are multifaceted. At its core, this move is a demonstration of the United States' commitment to upholding international sanctions against Russia. The operation sends a clear signal to other nations about the seriousness with which the U.S. approaches violations of international law, particularly concerning energy sanctions. Additionally, the interception aligns with broader U.S. foreign policy objectives, including reducing Russia's economic leverage and limiting its ability to fund activities that destabilize global peace. This action also serves to reassure U.S. allies, particularly in Europe, of America's commitment to collective security and the protection of shared interests. By taking a firm stance, the U.S. aims to deter future violations and reinforce the importance of adhering to international norms. The interception of the Fortuna aligns with broader U.S. strategic interests in maintaining global maritime security and ensuring the stability of critical sea lanes. The United States has long prioritized the security of international waterways, which are vital for global trade and energy supply chains. By intercepting the tanker, the U.S. not only enforces sanctions but also reinforces its role as a global maritime leader. This action underscores the strategic importance of the North Atlantic, a region that serves as a gateway to both European and North American markets. The operation is also a reminder of the complexities involved in balancing national security interests with international diplomatic relations. As the U.S. continues to navigate these challenges, its actions set precedents that influence global maritime norms and the behavior of other nations. The global markets reacted swiftly to the news of the U.S. seizing a Russian oil tanker in the North Atlantic. Stock exchanges from New York to London saw immediate fluctuations, with energy stocks experiencing volatility. The S&P 500 energy sector witnessed a sharp spike in activity as investors scrambled to assess the potential impact on oil supply chains. Meanwhile, the Russian ruble weakened slightly against the U.S. dollar, reflecting concerns over further geopolitical tensions. Analysts at Bloomberg noted an uptick in trading volumes, indicating heightened investor interest in oil futures. This development underscores the interconnectedness of global financial markets, where geopolitical events can trigger cascading effects across different asset classes. The operation's timing, just as markets opened, added an element of surprise, further fueling market dynamics. It's crucial to understand that such geopolitical maneuvers often lead to short-term volatility, but the long-term impacts hinge on subsequent diplomatic and strategic responses. The seizure of the Russian oil tanker has sent ripples through the global oil markets, causing immediate price fluctuations. Brent crude, the international benchmark, saw a spike, rising by over 3% within hours of the operation. This reflects traders' concerns about potential disruptions in Russian oil supply, which plays a critical role in the global energy market. The incident underscores the fragility of the current supply chains, especially with ongoing tensions between major oil-producing nations. Analysts from Reuters suggest that while the immediate reaction was a price increase, the long-term impact will depend on how Russia responds and whether further sanctions are imposed. The potential for retaliatory measures could further exacerbate market instability, impacting everything from gasoline prices at the pump to heating costs for consumers worldwide. The U.S. seizure of the Russian oil tanker is poised to disrupt established trade flows, particularly those involving Russian energy exports. This operation highlights the geopolitical leverage exerted through energy dependencies. Major European countries, heavily reliant on Russian oil, are now facing heightened uncertainty in securing their energy needs. The rerouting of Russian oil supplies, possibly towards Asian markets like China and India, could alter global trade patterns significantly. According to the International Energy Agency, Europe could explore alternative energy sources, but such transitions require time and investment. The incident may prompt accelerated efforts towards energy diversification, impacting long-term contracts and shipping routes. This realignment in trade flows is likely to influence global shipping dynamics, affecting everything from freight rates to insurance costs. In our first expert interview, we speak with Dr. Emily Harding, a senior fellow at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Dr. Harding emphasizes the strategic implications of the U.S. action, noting that it sends a clear message about the enforcement of sanctions. She argues that this operation not only affects the oil markets, but also serves as a cautionary tale for other nations considering circumventing sanctions. Dr. Harding highlights the importance of maintaining international norms and the potential risks if such norms are ignored. She also discusses the broader strategic calculus, suggesting that the U.S. is likely calibrating its actions to avoid escalation while still demonstrating resolve. This balance, she notes, is crucial in maintaining international stability amid rising tensions. Our second expert interview features Professor James Reynolds from the London School of Economics. Professor Reynolds provides an economic perspective on the tanker seizure, emphasizing the long-term market implications. He highlights the potential for sustained price volatility in oil markets, which could influence global economic stability. Professor Reynolds cautions that this incident may accelerate the shift towards renewable energy, as countries seek to reduce dependency on fossil fuels and mitigate geopolitical risks. He also discusses the possible ramifications for global trade, noting that nations may reassess their supply chain dependencies. According to Reynolds, while the immediate economic impact is significant, the strategic shift towards diversification and sustainability will have more profound and lasting effects on the global economy. Institutional responses to the U.S. seizure of the Russian oil tanker have been varied. The International Energy Agency, IEA, emphasized the need for stability in the global energy markets, urging restraint from all parties involved. At the same time, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, expressed concern over potential disruptions to oil supplies, highlighting the need for dialogue to ensure market stability. The European Union, while not directly involved, issued a statement supporting the enforcement of international sanctions, emphasizing the importance of rule-based order. These institutional perspectives underscore the delicate balance required to manage geopolitical tensions without destabilizing global markets. As these organizations play a critical role in shaping energy policies, their reactions will be closely monitored by policymakers and investors alike. The U.S. seizure of the Russian oil tanker has significant implications for U.S.-EU relations. The European Union, which relies heavily on Russian energy, is watching closely to see how this incident will impact its energy security strategy. While the EU supports sanctions enforcement, it is also cautious about potential energy supply disruptions. This operation could potentially lead to increased cooperation between the U.S. and EU in finding alternative energy sources and strengthening energy independence. However, it also poses challenges for transatlantic relations, as European leaders must balance their strategic alliances with economic dependencies. The situation underscores the complex nature of international alliances, where shared goals must be carefully navigated amidst differing national interests. The implications of the U.S. operation extend to NATO, as the alliance seeks to maintain a unified front in the face of Russian actions. The seizure of the oil tanker is seen as part of a broader strategy to deter Russian aggression and uphold international rules. NATO's Secretary-General Mark Rutte has emphasized the importance of solidarity among member states, particularly in enforcing sanctions and maintaining security in the North Atlantic region. The operation may lead to increased military readiness and coordination among NATO allies as they prepare for potential Russian responses. However, it also raises questions about the alliance's strategic priorities and resource allocation as member states balance their commitments to collective defense with national interests. The U.S. seizure of the Russian oil tanker could lead to significant policy shifts, both domestically and internationally. In the U.S., there may be increased calls for policies that enhance energy independence and resilience against geopolitical disruptions. This includes potential investments in alternative energy sources and infrastructure. Internationally, the incident could prompt a reevaluation of energy trade policies and sanctions frameworks, as countries seek to balance economic interests with geopolitical considerations. The European Union, in particular, may accelerate its energy diversification strategies, reducing dependence on Russian oil and gas. These policy shifts underscore the dynamic nature of international relations, where strategic decisions are often influenced by immediate events. The operation to seize the Russian oil tanker has highlighted the importance of military readiness in the North Atlantic region. The U.S. Navy, along with NATO allies, has been on heightened alert to respond to any potential Russian retaliation. This readiness involves strategic deployments of naval assets, patrols, and intelligence operations to monitor Russian activity. Military analysts suggest that such operations are part of a broader deterrent strategy, demonstrating the capability and willingness to enforce international rules. However, this heightened state of alert also requires careful diplomacy to avoid unintended escalations. The balance between demonstrating strength and maintaining peace is delicate, as military readiness must be matched with diplomatic efforts to manage tensions. The seizure of the Russian oil tanker by the United States carries significant strategic risks with potential repercussions across various geopolitical landscapes. The operation, conducted in the North Atlantic, could exacerbate existing tensions between the United States and Russia, potentially leading to retaliatory measures by Moscow. Such actions could include the disruption of maritime routes or the imposition of sanctions on American interests in the region. Moreover, this incident may influence NATO's strategic calculations, necessitating a re-evaluation of maritime security protocols and alliance responses. The operation also underscores the vulnerabilities in international shipping lanes, which could prompt other nations to bolster their naval capabilities or enter new security pacts. Additionally, this incident may affect global oil markets, driving volatility and prompting shifts in energy policies, especially in Europe, which remains heavily reliant on Russian energy exports. The broader implications could extend to diplomatic relationships, as countries might be compelled to choose sides, impacting global trade dynamics and international alliances. Additionally, this incident may affect global oil markets, driving volatility and prompting shifts in energy policies, especially in Europe, which remains heavily reliant on Russian energy exports. The broader implications could extend to diplomatic relationships, as countries might be compelled to choose sides, impacting global trade dynamics and international alliances. In the coming weeks, several critical decisions are expected that could impact the ongoing geopolitical situation. The United States may need to deliberate on further sanctions against Russia or reconsider its naval deployments in the North Atlantic. Concurrently, Moscow might evaluate counter-strategies, potentially escalating military readiness or seeking diplomatic channels to resolve tensions. NATO is likely to discuss adjustments to its maritime security framework during upcoming meetings, focusing on the protection of strategic shipping lanes and energy supply routes. Additionally, the European Union may convene to address energy security concerns, especially considering the potential impacts on member states heavily reliant on Russian oil. These decisions will also be closely watched by global markets, with investors anticipating possible fluctuations in the oil and commodities sectors. As these developments unfold, stakeholders are urged to remain vigilant, assessing both immediate and long-term consequences of the unfolding situation. Analyzing potential scenarios, we can anticipate various outcomes from this geopolitical tension. One possibility is a diplomatic resolution, where both the United States and Russia agree to de-escalate and engage in dialogue, fostering stability. Alternatively, tensions could escalate, leading to further sanctions and military posturing from both sides. This could trigger a chain reaction in global markets, affecting oil prices and investor confidence. Another scenario involves regional actors, such as the European Union or NATO, taking a more active role in mediating the conflict, which could lead to a new framework for international maritime security. The ripple effects might influence Southeast Asia, particularly Vietnam, which relies on stable shipping routes for its economy. As these scenarios unfold, it is crucial for stakeholders to consider the broader implications, preparing for both risks and opportunities that may arise. To gain a balanced perspective on this issue, we must consider views beyond the Western lens. Experts from Russia, for instance, might argue that the seizure of the tanker is an aggressive act that undermines international law and sovereignty. They could point to historical precedents where maritime disputes have been resolved through negotiation rather than force. Conversely, analysts from countries in Southeast Asia might highlight the importance of maintaining open and secure shipping lanes, emphasizing the need for multilateral cooperation to prevent further escalation. Independent geopolitical analysts may suggest that this incident reflects broader global power shifts, with rising tensions between major powers reshaping international norms. By considering these diverse perspectives, we can better understand the complexities of the situation and the potential pathways to resolution. For viewers seeking to navigate the complexities of this geopolitical event, it is essential to stay informed through diverse and reliable sources. Engaging with a range of perspectives, including official statements from the involved countries, expert analyses, and reputable news outlets, will provide a more comprehensive understanding. It's also important to contextualize current events within historical frameworks and consider the broader geopolitical landscape. Monitoring updates from international organizations such as the United Nations or ASEAN can offer insights into diplomatic efforts and resolutions. Additionally, paying attention to economic indicators and market reactions can help gauge the potential impact on global and local economies. By approaching this situation with a critical and open mind, viewers can form well-rounded opinions and engage in informed discussions. In summary, the U.S. seizure of a Russian oil tanker in the North Atlantic highlights several key takeaways. Firstly, this action underscores the ongoing tensions between major global powers and the potential for such events to escalate quickly. Secondly, it emphasizes the importance of international maritime security and the need for robust frameworks to govern these essential routes. Thirdly, the incident illustrates the intricate interplay between geopolitical maneuvers and global markets, demonstrating how political decisions can have far-reaching economic impacts. Lastly, it highlights the importance of diplomatic engagement and multilateral cooperation in resolving disputes. As the global landscape continues to evolve, staying informed about these dynamics is crucial for understanding the broader implications and preparing for future developments. For those interested in delving deeper into the complexities of international maritime security and geopolitics, there are several resources worth exploring. Documentaries focusing on the history of maritime law and its evolution provide valuable insights into the legal frameworks governing international waters. Books by renowned geopolitical analysts offer in-depth analyses of global power dynamics and the strategic interests at play. Additionally, following updates from international think tanks such as the Council on Foreign Relations or Chatham House can provide current perspectives on ongoing geopolitical challenges. Engaging with academic journals and attending relevant conferences or webinars hosted by universities can also enhance understanding of these critical issues. By exploring these avenues, viewers can enrich their knowledge and stay informed about the intricate web of global affairs. If you found this perspective valuable, consider subscribing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I read every one of them. Thank you for watching.